What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in today with Team 1EV. We're here to introduce our Chrome Delete Kit for the Rivian R1S. So today we're going to introduce the product. We're going to walk you through step-by-step how to install this. Basically, this factory chrome that you find on the R1S, we're going to show you the kit that you can convert that and make it gloss black to match the factory setting. You can make it matte black if you want to have a matte black look. And we actually offer yellow as well. So let's get started. We're going to go step by step and show you how to do this. Okay, first let's take a look at the product. So we have the Team 1EV Rivian R1S Chrome Delete Kit right here. And it's going to be a 3M wrap film. This is like a color wrap. This is used specifically for covering body panels on vehicles. And the design is CNC cut. So the engineers at Team 1EV made templates based on the actual shapes of the chrome parts on the car and very carefully program this, and then this gets CNC cut at our factory. With the kit, we include 2 complete sets. We do that on purpose because if you have any issues or you put a wrinkle or something happens when you're putting it on, you have a second set. Let's say something happens to the truck or the film gets damaged, you have a backup piece. So you get a 2 complete set from 1EV. Beyond that, we have a couple of squeegees that we're going to use to help get the wrap flat. We have wax and grease remover we're going to use to clean the surface before we start applying it, and then a microfiber cloth. So the first step is get the car in place where it's on level ground. You can work around the vehicle with no trouble, and we're going to wash the car really good, make sure it's clean, get a step stool. You might need that if you're not real tall. And then after we clean the vehicle and it's dry, we're going to wipe down all the surfaces that we're going to apply this wrap to with our wax and grease remover. And you can get this from EV Sportline. So let's get started. Okay, we got all the doors open on our R1S, and you're going to see what I like to do is stand on this tread plate over here, and I can kind of position myself on the door, and it gives me plenty of room to reach over here, and I can reach down the back. And then when we get to the back seat, I can do the same thing. So the car's already washed, and we're going to take our wax and grease remover, and we're going to go over and just wipe all this trim off and make sure there's no wax, there's no grease, there's no dirt, there's no lint, anything that could get in the way of this tape. And you can see, even after washing the truck, there's still residual stuff. So go around, we're going to do the whole trim, make sure it's nice and clean. No sap, no bird poop. I'm just going to go around the whole truck, wipe this down. One towelette will do it. There's plenty of juice in one towel. So we want to get the edges as well. So if you look in here, the wrap is going to extend over this edge and cover the whole piece of trim. So let's make sure we get the whole thing, all sides, really clean. Important to get in the grooves and on the edges. We'll do the whole truck at once, both sides, since the towelette is moist. When you're wiping it down, you can feel sometimes there may be some dirt or something that's stuck on there. This will be your chance to get it nice and clean. Same thing on this side. Open up the truck. You can scoot up here, reach this no problem. I think this is easier than using a ladder, a little more stable. But do whatever you're comfortable with. Okay. This wax and grease remover will need to thoroughly dry. It doesn't happen super quick. You definitely want it to be completely dry before you start putting on any wrap. So we're going to take our microfiber towel, which is clean, and go over the whole surface afterwards and make sure it's completely dry. Absolutely no wax and grease remover remains. This is a little bit of a chore. So just keep wiping it down. Won't hurt if you're out in the sun That will definitely help get this done easier and faster. But take your time. Do as good of a job as you can. Definitely going to help with the process. You're going to want to open the tailgate as well. Backside. You can see in here, color wrap is going to wrap around the edge. If you zoom in on that. Okay, just about there. We've got everything wrapped down. We are going to let this dry for about a half hour, come back and check it out, and then we'll get started with the install. Okay, now that the truck is clean and dry, we've double checked all the trim, wax and grease removers completely dry. We wiped it down a couple more times. We're ready to get into the film. I like to start in the back rear corner of the R1S. It's a difficult piece to install, but you can reach it from the ground, which is a good place to get started before you're balancing yourself up against the door. So we're going to go and peel this off. You just have to kind of fold behind the backing paper and start to pull the vinyl off. When you get to these little relief cuts, just take your time and slowly pull it off. Make sure you don't stick the vinyl to itself. Make sure the vinyl isn't stretching, and make sure it doesn't tear on any of those cutouts. What I'm going to do is just softly put this up here to just set it in a couple places, keep it out of the way. Then we're going to start in the back on the bottom. You could take a look in here and see that the vinyl has a little cutout, and we want to line up that cutout with the very bottom edge of this back piece. So left to right, center it up, and that bottom edge should be flush with the bottom. Now, you're going to see here this glass, and the glass is going to be a little bit shifted depending on vehicle, and we're going to tuck the vinyl behind it. So we want the vinyl to end up right on that edge of the glass. You may have to adjust this off the center where you'd think it would be. Just a little bit, because we're going to tuck it in behind that glass. So using the glass as the guide, we're going to go up and try to touch this in place, kind of pull it and touch it as you go up. And when you touch the edge of the vinyl, you need to make sure it's going to be able to fall behind the glass, in between the glass and the chrome trim. Okay? So slowly working our way around the corner up here. There's some cutouts. You can take a look, and these little cutouts, relief cuts, are so that the edges can fold in smoothly. And then on the top side, they're going to fold over this way. So you want to make sure that those edges, those slices, are on the back side and not on the face. So you center it up down here first. Okay, and then double check that you're right on the edge of the glass, and that's going to vary with vehicle. Just work your way up, and then you're in place. Now for this top edge, it's the opposite. You need the top edge of the vinyl to be just under the bottom edge of this black top surface, because we're going to tuck it in up there. You want to put the vehicle in kneel mode, so it's as low as possible so you can see this top edge. And this gets a little tricky. You want to slowly work your way down, but you can check and make sure with your thumb that you have vinyl evenly centered on this chrome up here. It's very easy to get it too much toward the top or too much toward the bottom. You can just pull it back a little bit and realign it. It's fairly flexible material. You want just covering that top edge. So it's going to wrap over the top edge and wrap on the bottom. Now if you come and look over here, you're going to see a cutout right here in the vinyl. and it's going to get a little shorter. That's because there's a seal here, and we need to work our way under this seal. Okay? All right. Okay, now we're going to work our way back to the back here again. If you come around this side, we want to work off that inner edge. Just hold the back side up, use our thumb to smoothly make sure that inner side of the vinyl is going to fold in. And then we start to use our thumb to work any bubbles or wrinkles out, pulling the back side. Don't worry about scratching the vinyl. It has a plastic shield on it that we're going to pull off on the end. So that lets you work on it without scratching it right now. So just work out any of these little bubbles, wrinkles, so that's smooth. Thumb on the back edge, and this is going to fold over along the back side. Okay, so we have that smooth all the way up there. The inside edge is folded in nicely, so we can tuck it behind the glass. On the back side, we're going to be able to roll this over, starting on the bottom, just a little bit at a time, working our way up, no wrinkles, no bubbles, pull the vinyl. This is the tricky part. So you can just slowly work that back. Okay, so we've got it wrapped around the back. Now we're going to take our squeegee. We're just going to work our way up the edge and fold that in over the edge. If you come take a look on this side, you can see how we've rolled this smooth across the back side. And then with the squeegee, and this trim moves around a little bit, so that we use the squeegee to tuck this in. You can move the trim around. We'll show you on the top side. It just kind of flexes a little bit as you move it. But that's basically exactly what you want. It's tucked in there. It looks like factory paint. Now these tabs up here, starting on the bottom, a little tricky. They're going to overlap. That's okay. You want to just do one at a time, as smooth as you can get it. Work your way on those slots, one tab at a time, a little bit of overlap, pull it tight, and you'll get a nice smooth edge. These tabs you can pull back, pull them off, do them one at a time, smoothly overlapping them. Okay, and then the last one here, you're going to see we'll tuck in with our squeegee. We'll push that stuff in, okay? And then we'll start to work down these edges. And again, there's protective plastic over this that we're going to pull off at the end. Now, going back down to the bottom, with our thumb, we've rolled that edge. We're going to work it in. Hold the trim. You can feel it moving a little bit as you work your way up with the squeegee. And it's actually going to stick to the inner edge of the trim. Perfect. Okay, around the edges, we can use a squeegee to tuck it in under the trim. You can pick the trim up a little bit, tuck in your edge, move it around, and that's it. Now we'll come back at the end and we'll peel this plastic. It's like saran wrap. We'll pull that off, but that's what you're looking for right there. Now let's work on the top. So again, we want to make sure as we roll our thumb on the top that we have material that's rolling over the top edge of the trim. We don't want to see any of the top edge of the trim. And you got to start with your finger or your thumb and just get that edge rolled in. Okay? Now, take the squeegee. I like to tap this wrap in first before I just swipe it, because if you just swipe it, you can get wrinkles, and those are hard to get out. So let's tap it in first. These squeegees from Team 1EV are made from a soft, pliable silicone, so you can't scratch the truck or the wrap. You can see I can pull this trim down a little bit with my fingers, just ever so slightly, to tuck this wrap in. Okay, now that it's in, now I can more confidently go in here and use the squeegee to push it down and set it on the top edge of the trim. Okay? If you reach any snags, just pull out and push it back in. You don't want to force it, or you'll rip the wrap or create a wrinkle. Okay, so top edge is good. Bottom edge, same thing. Roll our thumb over this just to get the vinyl moving in the right direction. We're going to go back to the corner, tap it in first, work our way down, just kind of stitch it in place. Okay. Now up here, there's a rubber seal. So we're going to pull this trim down and push this in. And eventually we're going to use the squeegee to tuck it behind that trim edge. It's a little tricky, but get the squeegee in between the seal and the vinyl like this. You can zoom in on that and see how we've tucked the vinyl behind this trim. Just see if you can zoom in there and see the seal. Now it's perfect, okay? So let's go back and do a sweep. Make sure the vinyl's set. And that's it. Now we're ready to pull off the protective. Just make sure it's set in there everywhere. You can pick the edge of the protective saran wrap plastic coating at either side. Just get it started like this. We're gonna pull it off. Just like that. It's gonna be a little tricky up here where you overlapped. You gotta work it out of those little overlap pieces. Pops right out. And that's it. You have chrome deleted your first piece. Okay, let's move on to the next piece. This is a long piece. We're gonna set it up here, give ourselves plenty of extra space, and again, just to keep it out of our way and keep it from sticking to itself, we're gonna hold it up here. It's not in the right place, but it's out of the way. So we'll start up front, and this is again one where I think it's most convenient to stand up here, lean back. You can use a ladder, whatever you like. But similarly, we have some shapes here that are gonna line this up, and that is going to be where this rotates around. Just like we did in the back, we're actually gonna start by lining up the front of this corner right here. I'm gonna put this in place, and we're gonna try to balance it between the roof, the trim, and the A-pillar. Once I get it in place, we'll zoom in the camera, show you what it should look like. So again, you're gonna wanna make sure that the edges are gonna be able to tuck in, but I'm gonna get out of the way, we'll zoom in on the camera and you can get an idea of the proper placement. Just the same as what we did in the back, we want the top edge to just barely be over the edge of the chrome and just under the roof line. So we're going to put it up here in place. Watch for any wrinkles. You can kind of gently pull it to the back until we get it lined up. The bottom edge is going to roll in here and cover the bottom side of the trim. So I'm working in 6 to 10-inch sections where I can see the line. And you can jump up here as well. Just enough where I can roll it and tuck it in, and I've got enough to tuck it underneath. Oops. Okay, and as you work toward the back here, it's pretty forgiving. You can take a look and see. You can stretch to cover as needed or trim if it's too long. It's pretty flexible. This is a really long piece of vinyl, so there's a lot of flex in how much we can stretch it or trim it. Okay, so here is an example where I came a little too low and I don't have enough material to really get up and around the trim. So before we get rolling, we're going to pull that back up and I'm going to inch it higher to cover the top edge. Just take your time before you get ready to really press this down and get it lined up. Okay, so now you can see there it's right on the edge of the roof, which is what we need, because we're going to pull this trim down a little bit with our fingers and we're going to tuck the vinyl in. Okay, so now I'm just going to go down and pull this a little bit and make sure you can zoom in here and see how I pulled that down, and I can fold it in over the top edge. That's what you want. You can't have the vinyl on the edge or you'll be able to see the edge of the trim. Okay, so we're going to check in a few spots. You can just pull down the trim a little bit, push it in. Yep. Okay, so now we can do it. I'm going to start back at the front, double check my alignment up here, and start to tuck this in. You can see this cutout is formed as you get past the A-pillar. So again, tuck this in before you swipe so you don't tear the vinyl or cause a wrinkle. Just work your way down like you're stitching it in. We're going to do the top first. By the way, you don't want to do this outside in the sun when it's hot. It's going to be way too much heat on the vinyl. It becomes sticky, and you don't want it really to stick until you're done pushing it into place. So as I work my way back, I'm kind of pulling the trim down a little bit with my right hand, letting me slide the vinyl into place. Little bubble here, you can just work it out with the squeegee. Again, you can't scratch it right now because it has the plastic protection film on it. Okay, top edge is in. I'm going to go back now with my fingers across the whole piece. Get the bottom edge seated. Make sure we have no wrinkles, no scratches. Work out any air bubbles. Okay, now on this bottom edge, it's a long piece. So we're going to start by just rolling the edge, getting it started with no wrinkles and no air bubbles. Okay, and as you get it over, just knead your edge all the way in. Take your time so you don't wrinkle it. Very nice. Okay, so I got a little wrinkle here from rushing it. I can pull this out just a little bit and stretch it, pull it back, and it's gone. Okay, now there's an inner edge. The vinyl should be right on the inner edge, or maybe wrap over the inner edge just a touch, which is perfect. So you won't be able to see the vinyl anywhere. Using my squeegee just to make sure that little wrinkle is gone. It's good. Okay, now I'm gonna go back, pull this down a little bit, make sure the top edge is fully seated, tucked in. Just pull the trim down a little bit, glide this. If it snags, just stop and pull out, push it back in, and start over. Tucking up the bottom edge. Okay, now just check this inner edge. It's tight, rolled in. Got a perfect overlap. All right, that's it, guys. So, congratulations. Those are the two hardest pieces. Make sure everything is rolled into place. We're going to go to the edge and peel off the protective coating. Just get it started with your fingernail. Pull it off. Look at that. Just like factory paint. Perfect. Take a look up in here. You can see, if you watch, look up in there. You can see how it rolls. You're wrapped around the top. You're wrapped around the bottom. Really looks nice. Let's take a look from the side. Let's see. Starting to take shape now. The last piece we'll do is the windshield, which I think is the easiest piece to do. Wrap this across. Try not to wrinkle it. Starting with my edge roughly in place. You're going to want the windshield and roof clean in case the vinyl touches it, so you don't grab any dust or dirt in your vinyl. It'll show up like a little dimple or dent in the vinyl. So again, we're just putting this in here loosely, so it's in location, and then we'll work our way around to get it installed. Okay, starting on this edge, similar to the other pieces, there's a trimmed corner cut. We're going to line up those corners with the edge of this windshield trim. And the same as we did on the others, you're balancing the location just over the top edge of the trim and just barely touching the roof. So what you're going to end up with is you need enough material to wrap over the top and fold down over the bottom without over-indexing one way or the other. Every car is a little different, but typically you're putting it right up against the edge of the roof, and then we'll fold it in behind the roof. Or I'm sorry, in front of the roof. Okay, so double checking, we have material on both sides. It's easier for me to do the leading edge, like I'm putting it on as I pull it toward me. Perfect. Okay, again, I'm going to check in a few spots, make sure I have material on both sides. I do. There's a good example of a wrinkle. No problem. Pull this up before it's too late. Pull it, give it a little stretch. Wrinkle's gone. Okay. Okay. Pushing it down. Across, make sure I have no wrinkles. This one you can get pushed into place and then work on the top and bottom edges. Okay, same thing. Let's start to tuck it in. You can see how it looks. We're basically rolling it in over the top edge of the trim. Okay, switch sides. A little less movement of the trim on the windshield. It's normal. Okay. Working our corner. Now we're rolling to the bottom side. And last time, just tuck it in around the corner. There's a seal on the windshield up here. We're going to do our best to get it to tuck in behind the edge of that seal. It butts up right to it, and then you can tuck it in. Get the squeegee between the seal and the vinyl. Very carefully pull it. Again, if it snags, just pull it out. Start over. Just take your time and slowly move it. Just tucking it in right behind that seal. Okay? Wrap your corners. It's looking good. You don't want the vinyl to go over the seal. That won't last. It'll peel off. So again, just tuck this in to your seal edge. just working it between the seal and the vinyl. Sometimes you just have to inch it in there like this. It's okay, a couple spots kind of tight. We got it. Okay. Get our edges. Tuck the edges in. And that's it. Once again, let's peel off the protective coating. Do the other side, and that's a wrap. Perfect. Okay, guys, that's it. We're gonna do the same thing on the other side. You could take a look here and check it out. Chrome Delete R1S, Team 1EV, Chrome Delete Kit, gloss black, satin black, or yellow.